For centuries, historians believed that civilization followed a simple rule. Wherever great rivers flowed, great cities emerged. The Nile gave birth to Egypt. The Tigris and Euphrates sustained Mesopotamia. Across the ancient world, water determined where people lived, farmed, and built their kingdoms. It seemed almost impossible for a powerful civilization to exist without a permanent river. But then, there was Petra. Hidden among the sandstone mountains of present-day Jordan stood a city unlike any other. It flourished in one of the driest landscapes on Earth, where annual rainfall was low, drought was common, and violent flash floods could sweep through narrow valleys without warning. And this is where the contradiction begins. How could a city carved into the heart of a desert become one of the richest trading capitals of the ancient world? How did thousands of people survive in a place where nature itself appeared to resist permanent settlement? The answer was never carved into Petra's famous monuments. It flowed quietly beneath them. For generations, visitors admired the towering facades of the treasury, the royal tombs, and the great temple. Yet these magnificent structures were only the visible half of the city. Hidden among the cliffs was an engineering network so advanced that it transformed a hostile desert into a thriving urban center. History does not break easily, but here it bends. The Nabataeans understood something that many civilizations never fully mastered. Instead of fighting the desert, they learned to work with it. Nearly 2,000 years ago, the Nabataean kingdom controlled the trade routes linking Arabia with Egypt, Syria, and the Mediterranean. Caravans carrying frankincense, myrrh, spices, silk, and precious goods crossed hundreds of kilometers before reaching Petra. Trade brought enormous wealth, but wealth alone could never solve the city's greatest challenge.
Every storm became a valuable opportunity rather than a threat.
Depended upon it. Every family required it for drinking.
The water follows
cooking,
the natural gradient perfectly
and daily
here.
Life. Without a reliable water supply,
We should divert
Petra
it just
could never
above
have
the
grown
lower
into
canyon.
a prosperous capital. For many years, historians focused mainly on Petra's role as a commercial hub. The city's spectacular architecture captured the world's attention, while its hydraulic system remained largely overlooked. But here is the unsettling part. The monuments survived because the water system existed first. The modern world first rediscovered Petra in 1812, when Swiss explorer Johann Ludwig Burckhardt reached the hidden city while traveling in disguise as a Muslim pilgrim. His descriptions revealed Petra's breathtaking beauty, yet even he failed to recognize the true scale of its engineering. Only decades later, as archaeologists surveyed the surrounding valleys and mountains, did another story begin to emerge. They discovered channels carved into solid rock, hidden reservoirs beneath the desert floor, cisterns lined with waterproof plaster, dams built to control violent flash floods, and pipelines carefully designed to carry precious water across the city. The deeper researchers looked, the more extraordinary the picture became. This was not a collection of isolated structures.
The hydraulic system
it was a
is an
complete hydraulic
interconnected
system
masterpiece,
designed
where no
to capture
structure
almost
exists
every drop of
independently from
rainfall
another.
that touched the surrounding mountains. This is not myth. This is stone. Part 2. The discoveries forced archaeologists to reconsider everything they thought they knew about Petra. For generations, the city's magnificent temples, royal tombs, and towering sandstone facades dominated historical attention. Travelers stood before the treasury in awe, believing the carved monuments represented the greatest achievement of the Nabataean civilization. Yet as archaeological investigations expanded beyond the famous buildings, another story slowly emerged from beneath the desert landscape. It was a story written not in statues or inscriptions, but in channels carved into solid rock, hidden reservoirs buried beneath the earth, weathered dams, and an intricate network of pipelines stretching across valleys and mountains. Gradually, researchers realized that Petra's true masterpiece was not simply what rose above the ground. It was the invisible system that made the entire city possible. The region surrounding Petra receives relatively little rainfall during the year, and what rain does fall often arrives in sudden and violent storms. Dry valleys can become raging torrents within minutes before returning to silence just as quickly. Such conditions create a remarkable paradox. Water is both desperately scarce and dangerously abundant. Too little rainfall threatens crops, livestock, and human survival. Too much water, arriving all at once, has the power to destroy roads, buildings, and entire communities. For most ancient settlements, these conditions would have made permanent urban life almost impossible. The Nabataeans approached the problem differently. Instead of viewing the desert as an enemy, they studied it with extraordinary patience. They observed where rainwater naturally flowed after storms. They examined the slopes of surrounding mountains. They learned which valleys flooded first,
Every
how quickly
channel,
water moved
reservoir,
across
and retaining
sandstone,
wall
and where it could
confirms
be
an
safely
extraordinary
collected before
engineering
disappearing
achievement.
into the wilderness.
Petra's prosperity
Their understanding was
depended
based not
entirely on
upon
their
chance,
mastery of water,
but upon generations
an
of careful
engineering
observation.
achievement
Every
unparalleled
storm
in the
became
ancient
valuable.
world.
Every hillside became part of a larger design. Every drop of water mattered. This careful understanding allowed the Nabataeans to transform unpredictable rainfall into a dependable resource. Channels carved directly into sandstone cliffs captured runoff and guided it toward carefully positioned reservoirs.
Perspective
Large
reveals
cisterns
Petra's
were
hydraulic network
excavated
stretching
deep into
beyond the
bedrock,
visible city
where
into
stored
surrounding
water
hillsides.
remained protected from evaporation beneath the desert sun. Many of these cisterns were lined with waterproof plaster that reduced seepage and preserved
The chisel
precious
marks here
supplies for
indicate a
extended
late
periods.
Nabataean addition.
Gravity became the heart
Recording
of the
that
entire
now.
system.
The flow rate
Rather
seems
than relying
optimized for
upon
this
complicated
section.
mechanical devices, Nabataean
This
engineers
hidden reservoir
designed their
expands
network
our understanding
so that
of
water moved
Petra's
naturally from
extraordinary
higher
engineering
elevations
system.
toward lower storage
This
facilities.
interconnected series
Carefully
of channels
calculated
demonstrates
gradients
the
allowed
unified
water to
hydraulic
travel
system.
across
Every
considerable
excavation
distances
reveals
while
another piece of
minimizing
this
erosion
engineering
and
masterpiece.
unnecessary loss.
The flow must be
Ceramic
constant,
pipelines
even through the dry
transported
season.
cleaner water into
We must
residential
ensure the gradient
districts,
is precise
public
here.
buildings,
We will check the
gardens,
measurements,
and
Master.
workshops.
Petra,
Settling basins
a
slowed the movement
civilization
of water before it
transformed by
entered storage
intelligence,
tanks,
discipline,
allowing sand
and the
sediment to
mastery
settle
of water.
naturally. This improved both storage capacity and water quality. Nothing within the system existed independently.
The flow is
Reservoirs
strong
depended
here.
upon channels.
Clear the sediment
Channels
quickly.
depended upon
Yes,
accurately
the
measured
lower basin
slopes.
depends on it.
Terraces reduced erosion and slowed runoff.
Petra's
Retaining
genius
walls
lies not
stabilized
just in
fragile
its
hillsides
facades,
while protecting
but in the
nearby
hidden
farmland.
channels that brought
Each element
life to
reinforced
every corner
every
of
other
the city.
component, creating an integrated hydraulic network capable of supporting thousands of people in one of the harshest environments of the ancient world. And this is where the contradiction begins again.
A concluding
Modern visitors
documentary
usually
panorama
remember
presents
Petra for
Petra
the breathtaking
as a civilization
moment when the
defined not
treasury
only by
suddenly appears
magnificent
at the end of the
monuments.
sick. Towering sandstone walls narrow the passage until the magnificent facade emerges from the darkness. Yet few realize that the canyon itself formed
The discovery
one
of
of the
this
city's most
hidden
important
rock-cut
engineering
channel
achievements.
confirms the remarkable
Along both
scale
sides
of
the
Petra's
Sick,
ancient
channels
hydraulic
carved
network.
directly into solid rock carried water safely toward Petra while reducing the destructive force of seasonal flash floods. In several locations, ceramic pipes protected the water supply from contamination and helped regulate its movement through the canyon. Retaining walls strengthened vulnerable sections
Petra's
of the passage,
greatest achievement
while
was
diversion
never only its
structures redirected
monuments,
dangerous
but its
floodwaters away
extraordinary
from populated
understanding
areas.
of water.
The entrance to Petra
Beneath the
was never
rugged
designed
landscape
simply
lies
to impress
centuries of
visitors.
engineering,
It was built
revealing
to
a
protect the
civilization
city.
sustained by
Beauty and
careful
engineering
environmental
became
adaptation.
inseparable. Archaeological investigations
preserved section
have
of
identified
Petra's
dozens
hydraulic
of reservoirs
network.
and cisterns
These
throughout
carefully
Petra
carved
itself.
channels trace the
While
contours
broader
of the tower.
surveys
This plaster is
suggest that
crucial.
hundreds of
It shows how they
individual
managed
hydraulic
water flow
installations
between the upper
once
and lower
existed
systems.
across the surrounding landscape. Some
logged the
served
coordinates.
neighborhoods and public fountains. Others supplied farms, orchards, and agricultural terraces extending beyond the city. Natural springs, including
A concluding
Ames,
documentary
supplemented
panorama
harvested
presents
rainfall,
Petra as the
providing an
lasting
additional
union
source
of
of
monumental
water that
architecture
strengthened
and
the entire
invisible
network. Agriculture also formed an essential part of this engineering achievement. Stone terraces built along surrounding hillsides slowed the movement of rainwater, reducing
The
erosion
documentary
while allowing
frame
moisture
explores
to penetrate
Petra's
the soil
preserved
more
hydraulic
effectively.
network,
Crops
stretching across
benefited
rugged
from
mountains.
improved water retention.
Look at these
and
tool
valuable
marks. They
farmland
match the
remained
lower
productive
conduit.
despite
Yes, and the
difficult
plaster here
climate.
is nearly
Rather
identical
than
to the
allowing
Qatar
precious
samples,
rainfall to
the
disappear
integration is
rapidly into dry
remarkable.
valleys, the Nabataeans encouraged the landscape itself to hold water for as long as possible. Material evidence continues to support these conclusions. Waterproof plaster remains visible inside many surviving systems. Tool marks left by ancient workers can still be seen within rock-cut channels. Ceramic pipelines demonstrate standardized construction techniques, suggesting careful planning rather than isolated building
The discovery
projects.
of this cistern
Archaeological
confirms that
surveys reveal
Petra's
precisely
sophisticated
calculated
hydraulic
gradients
network
that
was
maintained
far more
controlled water
extensive
flow
than previously
across
imagined.
uneven terrain without excessive erosion. These are measurable facts, not legends, not speculation. This is not myth. This is stone. The more research is uncovered, the clearer Petra's true achievement became. Its prosperity depended not only upon successful
This
trade,
panorama
but upon
affirms
centuries
Petra's
of
timeless
engineering
legacy of
knowledge
intelligence,
passed from one
patience, and
generation to the
environmental
next.
adaptation,
The
achieved
Nabataeans
through
understood
thoughtful
that
hydraulic
survival in the
engineering.
desert required patience, observation, and cooperation with nature rather than constant resistance against it. Today, many historians
Look at the
regard
precision of these
Petra as
joints,
one of the
completely
finest
dry
examples
fitted.
of ancient
That's
hydraulic
remarkable.
engineering
It's
ever
held for
constructed.
2,000
Its
years
success
against this
demonstrates
erosion.
that sophisticated
The immense
technology
storage
does not
capacity of
always
these
depend upon
interconnected
advanced
reservoirs
machinery.
supported
Sometimes
thousands
it
of
begins with
inhabitants
careful
during
observation,
prolonged dry
practical
seasons.
experience, and the willingness to learn from the landscape itself. Long before modern engineering principles were formally written, the Nabataeans had already mastered
Petra's
many of
enduring
them through
legacy was
experience.
built not just
They
with
recognized the
stone,
importance
but through
of water
intelligence,
conservation,
observation,
flood management,
and an extraordinary
storage
mastery
capacity,
of water.
controlled distribution, and environmental adaptation. Every channel they carved, every reservoir they excavated, and every dam they constructed reflected
The
a
landscape
civilization
itself
that
was
understood
Petra's
survival,
greatest
depended upon
engineering
planning
teacher.
years into the
We
future,
follow the
rather
rainwater
than
running
merely
across these
responding to
mountains.
immediate
This
needs.
junction proves
Perhaps
the
that is why
integration of the
Petra
reservoir
continues to
and the
fascinate
channel.
archaeologists today.
Yes, the water
Each
flow
excavation
calculations
reveals
align
another piece of
perfectly
the
with the
system
gradient.
that remained hidden for centuries beneath drifting sand and fallen stone. Every newly documented channel, reservoir, or retaining wall strengthens the same conclusion. The Nabataeans did not simply survive in the desert, they transformed it. History remembers Petra for its magnificent
Confirming that
monuments.
Petra's greatest
Archaeology remembers
achievement
it for something
continues to
even
reveal
greater,
itself through
a
careful
civilization
excavation
that turned one of
rather
the
than
world's
legend.
harshest landscapes into a thriving capital through intelligence, discipline, and an extraordinary understanding of water. History does not break easily.
A
but
majestic
here,
wide
it
view,
bends.
inviting